What if I told you that there's literally one thing you need to fix to unlock massive growth on Instagram? What do you think about that? And not actively doing what I'm about to show you will be bad for your account down the line. TikTok, by the way, as well. And nobody's talking about it because the concept of this is actually so new that it seems like nobody's even figured it out yet.
You must be joking.
You must be joking. And the crazy thing is, it really doesn't matter whether you want to unlock more reach for your real stories or even regular feed posts. And in fact, this thing I'm about to show you will not only increase your reach for a new audience, it will also finally make you appear in your followers' feeds a lot more again. So pay attention because this finally might, and possibly actually will, fix your Instagram account. Possibly actually will. For example, this Instagram black file student, which is my program by the way, got this massive boost in reach after implementing just this one change, just posting regular photo posts, regular feed posts. The good thing is, if you start working on the strategy right now, you'll be miles ahead of your competition, unlocking more reach than you've ever had before. So first of all, let me show you what I found, and then I'll show you how you can actually implement this whole thing into your own strategy. As you might have noticed, the Instagram algorithm's been changing quite a bit recently. Well, actually quite a lot in the past years. And as of right now, and that's the thing, recommendations in your home feed are the biggest driving factor of getting new followers. Forget hashtags, forget the explore page. The home feed is the new explore page because this is the place where people spend most of their time on. Now, because of this change, your posts are now competing with so much more content than before. We have content for people you actually follow, you know, this new recommended content, which varies quite a bit, sometimes more, sometimes less. We have ads, obviously, and so forth. And just because there's so many more recommendations out there, your content is at risk of being buried if it doesn't meet certain standards. And you probably know the general rules to get there already because Instagram, they're talking about this all the time. I made a video about this whole thing, digging a little deeper. Namely, it's context, watch time, and social signals. You know, aka you need to target a specific group of people, duh. Then you want them to stay on your content for as long as possible. And then, for example, you want them to like, share, you know, stuff like this. We've talked about this before, so far nothing new. But that's actually just the tip of the iceberg, my friends. And sometimes looking at some data that I get, it seems like just having those, you know, good metrics doesn't always help. For example, this reel reached around 3,700 people and they watched it about 4,200 times, meaning the watch time is most likely pretty high. And also we have quite a lot of saves considering the reach, yet it didn't blow up and the reach sort of just slowly fizzled out. Unfortunately for regular posts, we don't really have the metrics to gauge whether somebody spent a lot of time on it or not, but the concept is generally the same, whether it's, you know, reels, regular posts, even stories. So if the metrics they say to get more reach don't really always count, what does then? Huh? Moziri, huh? What does? The answer might actually surprise you, but it's actually this, plus another variable that's actually hidden in plain sight. And it has a little bit to do with the typical follower journey we've talked about here before. It's actually not enough to get good metrics for one piece of content, one post, one reel. You need to be able to hold a certain baseline throughout the times, throughout your posts. If somebody scrolls through your feed, stops at your post, reads it, interacts with it, maybe even zooms in, for example, and, you know, checks it out a little more. Yes, I'm pretty sure they track this as well. Another post of you will then very soon afterwards appear on their home feed, and that's when you have to shine bright like a diamond. This is what I meant with followers are not really gonna matter too much anymore recently. Because if you can somehow tell the algorithm that multiple pieces of content hold a viewer's attention, that's when you hit the jackpot and get recommended a lot more. And here's where the magic comes into play. Based on some research that I did a while ago, Instagram seems to also look at the relationship somebody has with you as a creator. And the deeper, the better, obviously. And if you closely listen to what Moziri, for example, always says, recently he said it multiple times, we try to rank your friends always to the top of your feed. Now, what do you have with your real friends, ideally? Yes, a relationship, because you actually know them. And because of that, you check out everything they have to offer as soon as it comes out, because you want to know, because you're actually interested in whatever they have put out because they're your friends, right? Same thing probably with the one or two top favorite creators that you're an actual fan of, even though feed posts are dead, Dominic. But for some reason, your real favorite creators still always make it to the top of your feed. Weird, right? So we need to find a way to make that relationship people have with you stronger, ideally fast, you know, especially in the eyes of the algorithm. And there's multiple ways to do that, but the thing that actually works by far the best, at least that's what I figured out, is to not just post micro content, you know, the thing that's the hot trend everywhere, which is the correct way to go about it, meaning small bite-sized things. But, and that's the important thing, to also somewhere in this whole thing incorporate the macro aspect into it, meaning what's to come afterwards. For example, is there a bigger picture that they can connect the dots? You know, is there a bigger story or something that's actually closely related, something that ties everything together, some, you know, like a story arc, you know, within your niche, within your content strategy, something people would immediately want to see next, for example, after, you know, reading your post, swiping through your carousel, or watching a reel. And that's where what I call the bingeability hack comes into play. In simple terms, and at the most basic level, you create a part 1, part 2, part 3, etc. thing. And sometimes it's actually that easy. You know, create some piece of content that people root for, people are interested in, and set some sort of a longer story arc, or, you know, an information arc, or a documentation arc. So it's not just this one piece of content that's standing just by itself, but that sort of invites people to check out more that you have to offer. It also could be something that's a little more sophisticated, like you teasing another post that you did at some point, you know, whether it's a reel or a regular post, and people are just gonna do it. You can even crisscross and send them from a reel, for example, to a carousel, and the other way around, to get even more credibility by the Instagram algorithm. Yeah. Point for another video, by the way. And this technique is actually so powerful because if a follower goes through your funnel, you know, clicks your profile picture, checks out more content, it's effectively getting this relationship factor up, plus the watch time factor up, you know, which just automatically gets you ranked up quite a lot more than before in their feed. Important thing, don't always do it, and don't, you know, it needs to be natural. We talk about this in my black file a lot more. And this thing works whether it's an existing follower or it's a new person that just saw you in their recommendations. And this again is what I meant with followers are not really going to matter too much anymore, because if your content strategy is in line with what people are actually interested in, and if your content has this certain quality to it that we're going to up, you know, automatically by implementing the strategy, you're going to get recommended to the right people anyway. Doesn't really matter if they follow you or not. Of course, it matters a little bit, but yeah. There's still one problem though. In order to get somebody to watch multiple times one after another, you first need to hook them. And if you can't manage to keep them watching or, you know, reading, this whole information that I just gave you is pretty much useless. And what people don't know is that you need a hook in every piece of content that you put out, different kinds of hooks, even in your stories. So to make use of this powerful strategy that I just taught you, watch this video next to learn how to actually get people to stop coincidentally getting your reach up yet again. But see yourself.